So, just a quick note before I start. This is kind of a little experiment for me. I've been sort of hooked on this game, so I figured I would combine my love of YouTubers, like My Name is Bife, and my need to tell lore to people whenever we play anything with sort of a more retelling style of video. So, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. And without further ado, let's begin the complete lore of V Rising. In times past, the vampire had once lived in the shadow of man's splendor, a prosperity and independence that, unbeknownst to the common man, controlled by families of vampires that fell in and out of power, ruling through well-placed ploys and manipulations. It was an age of diplomacy. While the vampires shielded the humans from the other horrors of the night, they took for themselves mankind's wealth and blood, creating a harmony between the two. And while it could be considered delicate, this harmony endured. It endured, that is, until one vampire desired more. One who would set in motion events that would uproot the order and leave nothing but chaos and blood in his wake. That vampire was none other than Dracula. The average vampire is no stranger to magic, with most being adept at blood magic. But Dracula was different. He had a desire, a hunger for more strength, for more power, and so he reached out across the fold, across dimensions, reached into a realm beyond, the Shadow Realm, and communed with beings and powers beyond our understanding, and struck a deal. It is unknown what came of that accord, but what we do know is that this eldritch pact caused a throne to manifest within the heart of Dracula's castle, creating a link between our world and the Shadow Realm, the key to absolute and total domination. With his new magic from a realm beyond, and his personal army, a cult known as the Legion of Noctum, he endeavored to bring the other vampire clans to heel and control Vardarin for himself. But vampires are not the type to be subjugated easily. Instead, they would unite and resist Dracula, igniting a brutal vampire civil war, with the end goal being to sit on that throne and claim Dracula's eldritch power for themselves. They would sacrifice everything in order to claim it, leaving no resource untapped and no drop of human blood unspilled, brutally exposing mankind to that which had been hidden for untold centuries. Now, caught in the middle of a bloody conflict, they had no choice but to fight. First defending themselves with primitive arms, and later discovering vampire weaknesses like silver and garlic, humanity would eventually turn to reason and experimentation, led by a group called the Transcendum. Founded by a doctor by the name of Henry Blackbrew, this group worked to create the next stage of human evolution, to push back Dracula's forces, creating marvels of weapons and breakthroughs in electrical and chemical engineering. But it was not enough. Driven to their last bastion in the Silverlight Hills, humanity had been pushed to the brink. They cried out, not out of some want for power, but a primal need to survive. They cried out for something, anything, to aid them against the encroaching darkness. And in that moment, a presence answered. But it was not the same dark power that had aided Dracula, but something benevolent. In that moment, humanity had been blessed with the power of the Holy Light, and the ones who found they could wield it as a weapon joined together as an order of Paladins of the Light, cutting down hordes of vampires as they made their way to end this conflict once and for all. In the wake of this new power, the vampire clans were scattered, retreating to what would now be known as the Farbane Woods, and formed a dark barrier around their lands with the last of their power. Having now cut themselves off from their precious blood supply, they called out to the same power that had aided Dracula, but received nothing. And as the vampire clan slept, the Paladins of the Light dealt the final blow, defeating Dracula in a surge of luminescence that brought forth a decisive and bloody end to what is now known as the Great War. And even after mankind had thought they won, Dracula launched one final assault from beyond the grave, For 7 days and 7 nights the skies opened up, and a bloody rain soaked the lands. Tainted with the vampire lord's dark power, many perished from raw exposure to the tides of magic. But those who had the will and tenacity to endure it would unknowingly find their bloodline merged with that of Dracula's, and they would find themselves in possession of enhanced abilities, becoming the best in their chosen discipline with unlocked potential. However, the Dark Lord casts a long shadow, and anyone in possession of this blood would find it feeding their pride and desire, inevitably twisting their pursuits, no matter how noble, to cruel and selfish ends. These individuals would come to be known as the V-Bloods, individuals of incredible strength that you will need to seek out if you are to become stronger. As by drinking their blood, you'll come to inherit their power and abilities for yourself. These V-Bloods can be found out in the world of Vardren, a world you have found changed much from the Great War. While the Farbane woods you'll awaken in are barren and populated by bandits, you'll quickly find that man has laid claim to the idyllic farmlands of Dunley, the fields fertilized by the blood of the war, the simple farmers kept ignorant, used as a buffer to protect the Church of the Light, up in the bastion of industry in the Silverlight Hills, man's first landing place on Vardren. With the northernmost lands holding the remains of Henry Blackbrew and his Transcendum, the lands tainted and barren through experimentation and the relentless, maddening advance of scientific progress, while the cursed forest has been tainted by an all-different power. Some say that a cult attempting to revive Dracula cast this forest into a maddening mist, blurring the line in the area between life and death, causing restless spirits to habit these woods. And in the far east, in the shrouded, mountainous area of Mordium, a now risen Dracula musters his forces again to prepare an attack on Vardren, to impose his rule over the land once more as he did in the Great War. It is unknown how Dracula was revived after the Great War, but what is known is that the Reign of Blood was but a tool to begin Dracula's inevitable revenge. And as Dracula awakens, the dark powers that once aided Dracula have come back to reunite the scattered vampire clans of the world, who now rise and go out into Vardren to rebuild their great domains and claim the V-Blood for themselves. And you, vampire, are among that number. Strike out into the night, rebuild your great castle, and claim the V-Blood for yourself. Reach the pinnacle of your power, enter the region of Mordium, and travel into the heart of darkness, and defeat Dracula once and for all.